You know what, Sabrina? I'm glad you covered this because this kind of feels so different for you in a way.
I know you're all worried about me.
I know. Are you okay?
I'm not okay.
What happened? Why did you do this?
Maybe don't listen while driving.
Hello.
Hey, so
This is Two Girls, One Ghost.
Two Girls, One Ghost. And we are your ghostesses. That is Corinne.
Hello.
I am Sabrina.
I can't feel my face. I had some dental situation. So if I look weird or am making weird faces, it's...
Can you drink something real quick for us?
No, I tried to drink water upstairs. It was dribbling out of my mouth. And I was like, all right, well, I'm just not going to bring anything to the recording.
You know, I have a weird thing that whenever they do dental work and they have to numb my gums or whatever it is, they have to do so much of the numbing stuff.
Oh,
they have
really?
to do like 10 shots in order to numb me.
Oh, God, that's what a nightmare. Because then you have to feel all the needles and stuff. They did half of it for me because they had to use a special, because I'm still nursing.
Yeah.
So there's they had to give me some other version of it and they could only give me half of it. So they were like, raise your hand if it gets too painful. So I was really nervous going in. I didn't feel anything. I just had one of my fillings had cracked. So they just had to...
I don't have dental insurance anymore, so I need to figure that out.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I didn't for a really, really long time. This is the first year I've had it.
And I have a cavity. I can see it. I got it on tour.
Really?
Probably all that Diet Coke.
Honestly, we ripped through Diet Coke. That was crazy.
I
I should not have been drinking that. I was pregnant.
You needed some caffeine. How did we get through it? It's crazy to think that this is now, I mean, by the time this episode comes out, it's officially a year since we finished tour.
Yes.
Like, I think literally today, the day this episode comes out,
was our last tour date. Ooh,
yeah.
Just gotta chill.
A chill from tour. The ghost of tours past.
My PTSD is coming back.
I have a prop today.
Ooh, okay. Well, I see Raggedy Andy.
Well, I have two. I brought Raggedy Andy. I told you I would bring my Andy. He sat front seat. Also, I took a photo of him in my front seat. I posted on our Instagram story. The second I took it, it starts pouring for 2 seconds and then stopped.
That's creepy.
Isn't that weird?
Wait.
What?
I have ghost stories.
You do?
Yes. Oh my gosh. Things happened to me and I knew I would forget them. So I literally, okay, wait, I'm remembering one of them now, but I have to pull up my text messages because I texted myself because my brain doesn't work anymore.
Oh, I text myself
2 days
all
ago,
the time because
I was like,
forget.
I'm going to forget.
You had stuff happen to you.
Yes. Okay. Well, one of them is no big deal. So, and then the other one is,
well, we got to keep record of all of them.
One of them is, it's no big deal because I feel like it's not that odd, but I just thought it was like a fun little synchronicity sort of,
which we're all about
invisible
right now.
String sort of situation. Don't mind me. I'm trying to crack my back. I'm just sore. So I'm going to tell the story like this.
Beautiful.
One of our neighbors, I don't know, 12 houses down, put out a box of books a month or two ago and was like, hey, if anyone wants to peruse these children's books, we are going to have them out for the next 2 days on the street corner and then we're going to donate whatever.
Okay.
So on one of our walks, we stopped and we picked up one of the books. It was just a Dr. Seuss book. I've read it to Noah a couple times, but a couple days ago, I opened not to the first page of where the story goes, but I just literally flipped through every single first page, which is all just the publishing house, dedicated to whatever.
Yeah.
And someone had written in it, and it was written to the child who lived in this house.
In this
from
house?
The people before us. Yes. It was a book to this baby.
In this house?
In this house. So the book found its way back to this house.
It returned to its home.
Which is why I was like, okay, well, it's not that odd because it was probably
they
had it. And then when their kids grew up, they were like, hey, here's books to the neighborhood.
That.
Someone picked it up. But out of these people had
all
50 books.
Yeah.
And out of all the books that were there, we just grabbed one of them and it found its way back to this house. So I thought that one was cool.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And then the thing that was a little scary that I'm pretending didn't happen.
I'll try to find a spin.
Was at 3 a.m. 3 nights ago. I was pumping and I pump in the bathroom.
Not iron, breast milk.
It's harder than pumping iron. It's really shedding calories just standing there in my bathroom. But I was standing there, attached to my pump, and I'm on my phone and all the lights are off, but I just have my phone. And I look up into the mirror and I'm seeing myself looking down at my phone. And then I was like, wait, what? And then I looked at my phone and looked up again. And then I was looking at myself like normal.
You looked into like a scrying mirror.
But for a
basically.
second,
you created a scrying
I was
mirror.
watching myself looking down at my phone.
I'm glad it's not the opposite where you were looking down at your phone and then you look up and you see yourself staring at you, you know? That would be creepier.
Yeah, like something off.
At least there was like a delay in
it was enough of a delay
time.
that in my brain I was like, am I just quicker than the mirror?
You might have been. Light traveled really slow in that moment.
In that moment, I don't know. But I was like, I'm going to pretend that what just happened didn't happen. I don't know. But I was like, that's going to be ignored. But then
until we share it with everyone on the podcast.
Later that day, I was like, well, maybe I should resurrect that story and tell Sabrina.
That's a good one. It's a little spooky. There is a dead spider on the ground over there, by the way.
Oh,
I just left it there.
Okay. Well, we can continue leaving it there.
It will
until
decompose.
I eventually suck it up.
Yes.
With my mouth. Soup.
Zoom in on that.
Good soup.
I'm wearing the shirt you got me for my birthday.
Oh, yes. There
Cat
we go.
lady.
Cat lady. I didn't even notice.
That's okay.
Because I was noticing your cool tights.
Yeah.
And I like those.
Okay.
Back to your prop. I think I know what it is.
Did you see it already?
No.
Okay.
I didn't read anything.
Okay. So we made it to the front page of the
I couldn't make it to the call, so you made it.
Front page of the Halloween edition of the Marblehead Current.
We're in a local newspaper. This is so exciting. We never get published.
It is called Podcaster Finds Town a Perfectly Spooky Home. And it was written by Will Dowd, who works at the Marblehead Current. He's amazing.
There's a photo of us.
There's a photo of us. It talks about Aunt Polly's pigeons. It's also right next to, there's this guy in Marblehead who every Halloween creates, like, he's an architect.
Yes.
And he creates these cool...
He does like a little party to debut it.
Yeah.
Every year.
I missed the party, but I've walked past it a couple of times.
Our friends asked us if we wanted to go to it, but with everything going on with Noah, we couldn't make it.
Well...
But next year, we can all go.
Should I read it real quick to you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
For Sabrina Dianaroga, co-host of the podcast Two Girls, One Ghost, her 1767 house on Front Street came with an unusual selling point. The day we bought the house, she recalled, the previous owner was like, I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I can't wait for you to meet the ghosts. And just so you know, this is like, it's because I live in Marblehead, so they wrote about me more than you.
But that makes sense. And also you were like, here's the time for the interview to happen. And I was like, I can't make it. So I wasn't even present.
Having recently relocated from the West Coast with Payne Lindsay, Dianaroga found it to be the perfect welcome. She had fallen in love with Marblehead during a writer's retreat 2 years ago, a trip her podcast co-host Corinne Bien had suggested. It's been the background of my phone since that trip, she said. Section 2 of the article. Maybe don't listen while driving. The podcaster's show explores eerie tales and supernatural encounters, delving into the heavily researched and listener-submitted stories of the strange and spooky. They have thousands of subscribers and have posted nearly 700 episodes. You know what's crazy? The day this article came out, we reached our 666th episode of Two Girls, One Ghost.
That's creepy.
Spooky. Dianaroga and Vienne met during their first week as theater majors at Loyola Marymount University in Los Angeles. Vienne's introduction during an acting class, her fun fact, was that she grew up in a haunted house, caught Dianaroga's attention immediately. I was like, I want to be her friend. To be continued on page A11.
We have a second page.
We have a second page.
This is so cool. Guys, can we be in everyone's local newspaper? That would be nice. Did you pick up more than one copy of this?
No, but I have to ask him for another one. It's also online.
Okay, well, we should have one
framed. I know.
One for your house, one for mine.
I know. Both women experienced paranormal encounters in their youth. While Vienne grew up in a haunted home in Vermont, Dianaroga had reoccurring supernatural experiences that shaped her fascination with the unexplained. When Vienne attended graduate school in Salem in 2016, I've never said your last name this many times. It's throwing me off.
I know. I don't think I've ever said my first name as many times as you're saying my last name right now.
Dianaroga, then working as a television writer on shows like Fox's Prodigal Son, proposed starting a podcast to stay connected, which the pair did in 2017. One episode stands out as particularly notorious. Episode 12, titled Dominus.
Dun, dun, dun.
Features a listener story about a boyfriend's possession in which a demon revealed itself to both him and his girlfriend. The episode has gained such a reputation that listeners report strange occurrences after tuning in. We had a listener who was listening to that episode while driving, and a bird flew into her windshield. Dianaroga says, now we don't joke about it being the most haunted podcast in America. We tell people, hey, really scary demonic episode. Maybe don't listen while driving. During the pandemic, when Prodigal Son was canceled after its second season due to COVID-19, both women decided to pursue the podcast full-time. The gamble paid off, with their inbox now overflowing with listener submissions. There are so many haunted places and people, and we get emails from listeners all the time. If I look at my inbox, we probably have like 8,000 unread listener submitted stories. We could presumably do this for an eternity.
We could.
Part 3 of the article. Polly, is that you? For those interested in listening to the podcast, their episode titled Haunted Town of Marblehead delves into the several supernatural oddities and stories locally. I'm just going to say both of our first names because I hate saying our last names. Sabrina and Corinne explore how the town's atmosphere even captivated horror writer H.P. Lovecraft, who used Marblehead as an inspiration for his fictional town of Kingsport. Lovecraft described the seaside settlement as having ancient vanes and steeples, ridgepoles and chimney pots, wharves and small bridges, willow trees and graveyards, endless labyrinths of steep, narrow, crooked streets. The episode pays attention to Wilmot Red, the sole Marblehead resident executed during the Salem witch trials. She was convicted of bewitching Mary Walcott and Mercy Lewis, even though she had never met these girls before even being accused. Today, an old Burial Hill marker purchased by late town historian Ginny Gamage, I actually didn't know this part, to honor Red's memory stands near the pond which bears her name.
Yeah, Red's Pond.
I didn't know that the woman who purchased the stone. The hosts also investigate the tale of the screeching lady who haunts Lovis Cove, a tragic figure from the 17th century whose piercing cries locals say echo across stormy nights. As for her own haunted home, Deanna Roga embraces its quirks. A recent visit from a Salem psychic identified weird energy in one corner of the basement. When Deanna Roga later attempted a live stream ghost hunt in that area, an electronic voice phenomenon, EVP, readers' first words were, "Behind you." The house's original owner's aunt, known as Aunt Polly, once raised and sold hundreds of pigeons from the second floor. Today, pigeons still regularly perch by the windows, peering inside. When they show up, Deanna Roga says, "Polly, is that you?"
This is so cute.
The end.
I love this. Oh my gosh. Does this make you feel like you actually live in Halloween Town?
Absolutely. And actually, I went to Salem on Halloween. I
you went to the ball.
I went to the ball. It literally was Halloween Town. Like it was so, it was amazing. And as I was walking, because it was trafficy, so we got dropped off like a couple blocks away from Hawthorne Hall where the ball was.
Mm-hmm.
And we're walking. It's actually Halloween, so people are trick-or-treating, people are out. But as I'm walking over to the ball, we pass this house that's stunning, beautiful. And there is a couple sitting outside giving out candy. They're about our age. And I stop and I go, "Is your house haunted?"
Oh, I thought you were going to trick or treat.
Well, they did. Actually, they did give us candy. I was very happy about that. They did give us candy. But I asked, "Is your house haunted?" Sure enough, it is. Built in 1600s. They just moved in. Payne and I became friends with them. And they were like, "Hey, text me. We're seriously open to you doing an investigation of our house." So walk along the streets of Salem and sell yourself. And the woman
sell yourself
as paranormal investigators.
Yeah.
No, the one caveat is we're not allowed to use Ouija boards. And I was like, totally
we don't
fine.
already.
We don't do that.
Yeah, we already don't.
Yeah.
Wait, that's amazing. I know that it was Salem in October on Halloween. So if there was ever a time to just ask a random stranger that you're walking past, "Is your house haunted?" That was the most appropriate time. But I think that this is a good reminder that you can just always ask because you never know what people are going to say.
Ask everyone.
Yeah. And like, what's going to happen? People are just going to be like, no. And then you move on and you'll forget them, but they will never forget you.
And also if they're a stranger, like, what do you have to lose?
Nothing.
Truly.
You might gain a ghost story or it's just a blip in your memory.
Right. Or maybe you'll become the local spooky gal in your town newspaper.
Oh my gosh.
And the amount of people who have texted us, or like, we went out with a couple of friends and one of our friends was like, "My dad was like, 'Is this your friend that you made?' Because everyone in Marblehead reads the Marblehead Current."
I love that. It's so cute.
We do have a spooky episode to talk about, but Payne bought me something that is so sick.
What is it?
And we have to do a live stream event to investigate if it's haunted. I can't remember the brand name, but it's like a unique vodka that was kept in a crate inside two of the most haunted asylums before ever being sold.
How the fuck did he find this?
He was looking on this website called Uncrate and he saw it and he was like, "Oh my gosh, I have to buy this for Sabrina." And I think it's like Penhurst and there's one other asylum that it spent. I'll have to look up the exact history and we'll do a whole live stream.
So cool.
We could do it at my house, so we don't do it here.
Yeah, spirits with spirits.
The spirits with spirits, but the box is a like wooden carved Ouija board that the vodka is inside.
I have to see this thing. This sounds like the coolest thing ever.
It's so cool. I'll have him send a photo.
And part of me is like having this moment where I'm like, this should be like your thing. You said teeth, but like, why not collect alcohol from haunted places?
I will literally, this is to everyone. I will literally collect anything. Anything. Maybe not feces, but like anything else.
Urine is okay.
Okay, maybe not any like excrement.
Except for, yeah.
Teeth
just
are
hard teeth.
Yeah, hard teeth are
calcium
bones.
Only.
So
bones. That is so cool.
So episode 298. We're here to talk about more ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
This was a ghostly beginning of an episode.
Yeah, it was. Wouldn't you know? 2 girls, 1 ghost.
Wow. So, Corinne, you love pirates.
Yeah, Andrew Ranson in specific. And what I love about him is specific. Nothing that he did in life, because that man was not great.
No.
But I do think that he looks attractive in the photo of him as a ghost.
You love a man in a good ruffly white colored shirt.
Yeah.
Who can deny that? Sexy. It's like, what's his name in Hocus Pocus? Binks.
Thackeray Binks.
Yeah, exactly.
Which the guy who plays Thackeray Binks has a podcast. And did you know that this past October, his podcast did, I don't know if it was multiple tours or it was just one tour, but they did like a guided tour and he brought people to the locations and talked about filming and shooting in the movie.
Can we collab with him?
We should ask.
I saw it on TikTok. His DMs.
Yeah, we're coming for you. Halloween is never over.
Okay, well, I also wrote this before I totally did the research. There aren't really any pirates in this, but there is a captain.
Okay, wait. It's funny because when I picked out a listener episode, is you wrote captain in the Excel sheet. So I was like, oh, I gotta find ghost pirate. And so it's funny because I immediately
went on the same page.
And then I was like, wait a second, I should look this up. What kind of captain? And then I found out which one.
Not a pirate captain.
No.
But listen,
that's what you hear captain, you think boat.
You think Captain Jack Sparrow.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Johnny Depp, Andrew Ranson.
Okay, but you love ghosts.
Yes.
So this is the perfect story for you and for all of you listening. And it's November. It's approaching holiday season. And I was like, okay, we've done a lot of spooky stuff. Let's do something a little bit more low-key and casual, but has like a cool background, cool story.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a place that you can visit. So this is the story of Captain Colin Swayze and the Haunted Olde Angel Inn. There's a town, ever so haunted, in southern Ontario, Canada. It is called Niagara-on-the-Lake. Not Niagara, but Niagara-on-the-Lake. And it's super cute.
Okay.
It's on the shores of Lake Ontario, just north of the Niagara Falls. So it sits at like the banks, or the mouth, that's what they call it. The mouth of the Niagara River. So it's like...
You said on the Canadian side?
On the Canadian side. And across the river is the US side, but it's on the mouth. I have a map, actually. Look.
Oh, handy dandy.
So Niagara Falls are just south.
Right. Yeah.
So it like overlooks Toronto and then overlooks across the Niagara River towards the US.
Wait, this is right by... I know exactly where you're talking about because when I had done the Niagara Falls episode, I think that this is very close to where that one park is that has the cave that people have experienced things like in that one cave.
Interesting.
I think it's like right across from there. Because when I was looking at the map, I like mentally clocked where that was.
Well, this town is beautiful. Like it really reminds me, similar to Marblehead, similar to Gilmore Girls, Stars Hollow. It's filled with 19th century buildings, so much charm, tree-lined streets, quaint shops like Cheese Secrets.
Ooh.
And the Scottish Loft, and a haunted fort, and dozens of historic buildings and inns.
Oh my gosh, it's so beautiful. You know what? Oddly, that last photo reminds me of the buildings in New Orleans.
I have a confession.
I know.
Did you see it on the calendar?
Yep.
Yeah.
I'm kind of mad, but then I was like, I can't be mad because I don't have the option to even try. So it is what it is.
I'm going to Savannah, Georgia without Corinne, and I have been
We've only been talking about it for 4 years.
Telling you. But I'm going with Payne's mom and his sisters. Because his sister lives right next to Savannah and it's close to all of them in Atlanta. I have made it clear to them that we are not allowed to, well, granted, they also don't like scary things. So we won't do really haunted things. And I will not, if we do anything, I will not go to like any of the like spooky buildings that we've talked about going to.
It's okay. You can, because then if you experience stuff that when we go, we can be like, it's kind of like in Charleston when I was like, oh, like if we do like a trip to Charleston.
I shouldn't be upset. You went to Charleston without me.
That was before we ever talked about it. But speaking of my Charleston trip, I went with Marissa. And when I had seen Savannah on your calendar, I was like, maybe this is a mistake. Maybe this was pre-planned a while ago. And it just, she's not going because she hasn't said anything to me about it. And Marissa was here and she was like, oh yeah, so Sabrina was asking me all about suggestions for Savannah. You've been though, right? Because you guys like wanted to go.
I asked Marissa about Savannah?
Yeah, she said you asked for suggestions.
On our Instagram.
Oh, maybe that's what she meant.
Oh.
But it's been made clear to me that you are going. And you can go wherever you want.
I'm really sorry.
It's okay. It's okay.
I've really been dreading saying it to you.
And yet you put it on the calendar for me to find
at first, it's so funny because for weeks I put on the calendar trip with Lindsay ladies, and because I didn't want to put Savannah. And then I finally was like, I need to just write Savannah for my own sake.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, go places, see all the hauntings, because then you'll know like, oh, this tour didn't really hit all the good spots, or like, oh, this is a place we should really go to. You're doing the legwork now so that we can have the best trip when we go.
That's true. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Thank
I'm
you
spinning it for myself and to eliminate some of the guilt that you have.
Also, at the same time, I was like, listen, like everywhere in the world is haunted. And,
right. And also another part of me that can't be mad at you is my mom has wanted to go on a family trip to Savannah so bad for so long that I was like,
oh, so you were ready. Like there was going to be
there was always a chance that I would have gone anyway.
Okay.
You're in the clear.
Okay, good. Good. We're still friends.
We still haven't screwed this on. Imagine
and
I just flip it.
Throwing it.
Corinne has a tantrum. Write that in the Marblehead newspaper.
Podcasters split up over trip to Savannah.
Or in the Savannah newspaper.
Okay, so Niagara-on-the-Lake. It's rich with history. It actually was the first capital of Upper Canada. It was the site, it used to be called Newark, and it was the site of many monumental battles during the War of 1812. Mm-hmm. It was also...
I'm confused about what Upper Canada is, because this feels like it's Lower Canada. It's hugging...
I think it's back just like historically when the British...
Oh, before the border got like pushed up.
Yeah, before it was Canada as we know today.
Okay.
It was also a place of refuge for many American slaves who fled the States, and it has some history regarding slavery generally in Canada. I'll get to that in a minute. But in addition to many lives lost and land damage during the War of 1812, a lot of the town was destroyed by a fire in 1813. And I'm pretty sure the fire was set by American soldiers during the War of 1812. Either way, a lot of this town was burnt down and then rebuilt. Okay.
So the captain is a military captain.
He is a military captain.
Got it.
Yes. But he did work at a fort. So he could have been like watching the seas.
A boat captain. He could be captain of our hearts. I don't know. We don't know what's to come.
We don't know. Actually,
you do know.
I do. And it's a sad story. And it's sweet. He seems like a sweet guy. So we've set up some of the staples of a haunting beginning. Which brings us to the Olde Angel Inn, one of the oldest pubs in Ontario. It is located at 224 Regent Street and is said to be one of the oldest buildings in all of Canada.
Whoa. Mm-hmm. Okay. I was expecting you to say like this region or this town.
I think like part of it was rebuilt. So it's like it has the foundations of the oldest building in Canada.
Yeah.
It looks similar to what's the hotel in St. Augustine that you covered?
It's a great question. I can't remember.
But doesn't it kind of look like that?
It does. Yeah.
With like the woman who like sold whiskey or alcohol, was a bootlegger.
And she would stand up and like walk around.
Yeah.
What was that called?
Jamie does this amazing thing that when we spend like 20 seconds being like, oh, I don't know, and we just move on, Jamie like adds a photo into the video or context on the bottom and be like, these idiots are talking about this. She doesn't say these idiots, but I assume that's what she's thinking.
I wish she would.
These XOXO, Jamie. This. So the Olde Angel Inn was originally built in 1789, and it was originally named the Harmonious Coach House. It was a place for travelers. It was a pub and an inn. And there have been some changes. The inn still operates as it first did when it was constructed. And when you step inside this historic building, it really feels like you've transported through time. Even on their website, it says, the Olde Angel's rooms still echo the sounds of British soldiers and townsfolk who 2 centuries ago gathered here for food, drink, and lodging. Like I said, it was originally built in 1789, but part of the building was destroyed during the War of 1812 and then rebuilt thereafter. But there are many hand-hewn, is that how you say it? Hand-hewn? Hand-hewn.
Hand-hewn?
Handmade.
Wow. This is really...
I don't know.
I think you've melted my brain.
You're welcome.
What are
It's like that word raucous the other day.
I still don't remember how to say it.
There are still original handmade beams, thick plank floors, and the ambiance is basically the same. It's not really one that you see. Well, you do see it, but you're also smacked in the face with it when you enter because the energy within the Old Angel Inn and pub is palpable. It's like a time machine.
Mm.
Due to change in leadership, the chaos from the War of 1812 and the destructive fire in 1813, a lot of records have been lost about this building, a lot about the town, about people in this town. But the inn does claim to be one of the sites of a very significant historic moment. This is what I was talking about earlier. It is said that in 1793, the new assembly passed an act outlawing slavery, which is the first of its kind anywhere in the entire world. And all of those legislators then were said to have celebrated the monumental event over dinner at the inn.
How lovely.
I know.
That's a great celebration. That feels like it should be all good energy.
There's a lot of good energy in this inn. And there's primarily one spirit, but we'll get to that in just a moment. And he's not a pirate, unfortunately. The inn housed many travelers, soldiers, and seamen, and many historical figures like Prince Edward, Thomas More, who is an Irish national poet. And then after being badly burnt during the War of 1812, the building was rebuilt by a man named John Ross. And this is when it got its current name, the Angel Inn. And he named it in honor of his wife because he thought that she was an angel.
Oh my gosh, that is so sweet.
Yes. Look at me picking a positive story.
Wow.
I know.
Oh, I truly thought you were going to say like after his chihuahua named Angel.
That would be hysterical.
Which is also very cute.
It is.
But
It's more romantic.
He was in love.
And there's a lot of romance that has to do with this story because shortly after being rebuilt and reopened for business, almost immediately, and truly there's records of hauntings going all the way back to 1820, because immediately after being rebuilt and reopened, people started reporting strange occurrences and hauntings in the building. Noises emanating from empty rooms, dishes and knickknacks being rearranged, ghostly eyes, apparitions, especially in the washrooms. And then there were also some angry outbursts. As the accounts continued, there basically was this desire to figure out what is going on. This must be related to someone or something connected to this building. So the owners at first sought to find rational answers, perhaps a windy evening or a drunk guest, but the accounts continue. So then a story began to unfold. They learned that there was an account of a soldier who met his untimely death during the War of 1812 inside what was now the Old Angel Inn. Colin Swayze was a British captain in the War of 1812. Swayze was stationed at the fort in Niagara-on-the-Lake, then the town was called Newark, and it was May of 1813 when the soldiers stationed at the fort saw something dreadful coming in. The Americans.
The Americans are coming! The Americans are coming! We never get to say that.
No, that's such an interesting thing to put ourselves into the perspective of the Canadians.
Yeah.
Although at that time, I guess they were the British. Anyway, they were like, oh shit, drop your bayonets, guys. We're screwed. Run for the hills. Literally, they were like, there's no other option except for fleeing. So they were like, let's retreat. So they sent orders to all the soldiers in this area to retreat. But there was one soldier, Captain Colin Swayze, who had one order of business to attend to prior to retreating. He wanted to say and bid adieu to his love,
his angel.
And so he went to meet her at the Old Angel Inn. And I'm not sure, it's not clear who she is or was, if she worked there or what, but his plan was to go meet her there and say goodbye. Unfortunately, he never got to say goodbye to her because when he arrived at the inn, he realized that the American soldiers had reached the land and he had basically missed his opportunity to retreat.
Oh.
So he is like panicking. He doesn't even have time to wonder where his true love is. He's wandering around. He's looking around the old inn and he's like, what do? I need to hide. He's looking for like bookcases to hide behind, closets, whatever. He goes down into the basement of this, what was the Harmonious Cottage Inn at the time. And he finds barrels of, and this part is unclear. Some people say beer, some people say gin. I don't know. He finds barrels of alcohol and he thinks, let me hide in one of these. Again, this part's unclear. Was it full or was it empty? I do not know.
Right. Empty. Got it. Full. I'm like, I think your skin's going to disintegrate and you're just going to like melt off like this is acid. Like, that seems pretty intense.
If it's beer, I mean, like drink a little bit and then go inside.
Yeah. But if it's vodka, like I don't know how
No, that
it
sounds
works,
horrible.
but like,
you would die.
right. And then if you don't die that way, someone shoots their bayonet at the thing and you light up on fire and die that way.
Here's a spoiler. He dies either way.
We can't save you, Captain. We're trying.
Sorry. He hides within one of these barrels in the basement, and he is terrified. He is holding his breath, and he's just praying that these soldiers do not find him. He's in the basement in a barrel. He hears these boots above him, stomping on these old wooden floors, clearing rooms, looking for any British soldiers who may be hiding. He's holding his breath,
I know,
terrified.
I found myself holding my breath now.
And he starts to hear the feet retreat. Perhaps he has survived. Perhaps they won't find him. But then he hears footsteps descending the stairs down into the basement. They are walking closer and closer, descending this long hallway, opening each door, scouring each room, getting closer and closer and closer. And then they reach this room with the barrels of alcohol. And the soldiers seem to feel like there's no one there. Until one soldier notices that the barrel that Captain Colin Swayze is in weighs differently than the other barrels.
So he walked around and picked up all the barrels?
I was not there.
And also, was it closed at the time? Like, where was everyone else in this building?
I mean, I'm sure the Americans like came bursting in and civilians were like,
hiding under tables.
Yeah. Please.
I'm innocent. Leave me be.
Not me. Instead of opening the barrel, these American soldiers all look at each other. They take their bayonets and they skewer the barrel over and over.
Which is so fucked up, because what if that was like a child or someone just scared and hiding that was not like their quote unquote enemy?
Guess they probably didn't think that through. Either way, instead of beer pouring through, maybe in addition to beer or alcohol pouring through, blood began to ooze and seep out of this barrel. And these men killed Captain Colin Swayze. He had never, ever been able to say goodbye to his one true love, and he lost his life, slowly bleeding out and dying in this barrel in the basement of what is now Olde Angel Inn.
That would make me so angry.
It must have been horrific. And it's this story that was discovered by the owners of the Angel Inn. And so then they basically started to acknowledge Captain Swayze. And they were like, we know you're here. You're welcome to stay here. We're so sorry for your loss. And some of the hauntings actually started to get a little less. Oh, one part I forgot to say is that after bayoneting Captain Colin Swayze and he was passed out or died, presumably, the soldiers lit the building on fire, which is why part of the building was burned.
I'm realizing right now that I didn't know what a bayonet was. I thought it was like a musket, like a gun, but it's just a spear.
I think it's the top part of the musket that has the
spear. So it's like a 2-in-1 knife and gun?
Yeah, I think so. I don't know anything about weapons, but that's what
Clearly
I'm
me
picturing.
neither.
Yeah. This is like reminding me of Tor.
Holding Raggedy Andy.
But I actually appreciate it because I feel like I don't sit very femininely at all. And this at least like covers up my hoo-ha.
I actually screenshotted one of our episodes that came out to remind myself to go back and watch, because in it, I sit like this for 90 minutes and every 2 minutes you are in a different position. But it's not like just this and this and this. You're like this and then suddenly you're like this. Like you are all over the place. And I was like, this is hilarious. I have to stitch this together because you have like 30 different poses.
I can't sit still. I can't.
It's like every time the camera pans back to you, you're just like
else.
Somehow like, and what more?
I do also have like I have restless leg syndrome specifically. Like truly when I'm at home and I'm working, I like sit with my feet up in the air. I'm basically doing the splits as I do anything in life. The owners of the Olde Angel Inn are now, they're acknowledging Captain Swayze's existence, and the hauntings are starting to become less and less. Until one day, the owners of the inn took the British flag that was hanging above the front door down because they were like, we're no longer British property. Let's, get rid of this. Instantly, crazy hauntings began to happen in the inn. Poltergeist activity. Things were being thrown. Stomping was heard. There was something severely enraged. Captain Swayze was severely enraged. Keep in mind, he's a British soldier.
Yeah. Well, first you take his life in there, and now you're trying to take away all identifying factors of like the culture that he came from and the whole reason he was there and lost his life to begin with.
That he was fighting for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. His spirit would not calm down until the Union Jack flag, which is what it's called, was returned to its place hanging outside. So to this day, the owners of the Old Angel Inn have made sure to keep this flag, the Union Jack flag, adorned above the front door. And should they have to clean it or repair it or do anything, they have a temporary Union Jack flag that they will put up there in its place until they replace it.
I love that he's so finicky and temperamental that like it can't even be down for a second. Like they have to have a replacement one. They can't even be
immediately.
Like, oh, it's getting repaired or it's going to be cleaned. We'll return it in 3 weeks.
He's like, no, put that back.
I wouldn't either.
So I think they've done tests of it too to see like how quickly he notices it's down, and it's instant. Like I'm
picturing him just like constantly standing next to the flag, just always
he's like
watching.
Waiting. Yeah.
They took it down one time and he's like, I'm never leaving this spot again. I have to make sure this flag stays up here.
Well, he has left that spot because his spirit has been caught on camera.
No way. I feel like we're floating on back to our like second ever episode when we dedicated it all to ghost photos.
I'm pretty sure
we talked about Andrew Ranson at the top.
That's true. I'm pretty sure I found this. Either someone emailed this to us or I think I found it when I was trying to look up ghost con on camera.
Someone emailed because I looked up the Old Angel Inn.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, we should give them credit. Let me pull it up right now. There was only one email that had that, and it said Captain Swayze and the Old Angel Inn, and you had it in your folder.
Oh, so it must have been inspired by this email.
Kelsey and Tyler sent it in together.
Is it just like telling us about it, or is there a haunting that they experienced there?
There is a haunting that they experienced in the town of Niagara-on-the-Lake. Should I just read that one at the end?
Sure.
No one knows what I was going to read. I'll just save that one for another one.
Okay.
So that person doesn't get their opportunity to have their email taken away. You'll hear it soon.
Okay, so he was seen on footage. It was, let's see, September 5th, 2020. And someone who was working had closed the building, like locked up. And the next morning, a staff member who opened the building that morning saw that there was motion detected on the camera at night. And granted, this isn't in, so there's possible like that people are walking around or, something. But as they are trained to do, they review the footage. And what they found was what they believe to be Captain Colin Swayze wandering around the inn after hours.
No way.
They review the footage and they saw a semi-translucent, human-like shaped figure walking around the building. And it looked like he was wearing a uniform. After a side-by-side comparison, it really looked like a British soldier's uniform, like the one Captain Colin Swayze would have been wearing when he died. And there is a side-by-side photo in the YouTube video of what a uniform looked like and the ghost caught on camera. And I'll show you, Corinne, real quick.
Oh, it's so interesting because it's like, if I had just seen that photo before, I'd be like, oh my God, it's his ribs or something going across.
It's very Skeletor.
You can see in the actual British uniform that there is that sort of like, the
decor.
Yeah.
Yeah. So today, Captain Swayze's presence is mostly heard, not really seen. That's the one experience where he was caught on camera.
Mm-hmm.
He's often felt in the bathrooms, of course. And some of the most common reports are that people will be in a stall in the bathroom and they'll hear someone come into the bathroom, kind of walk around. And so when they leave the stall, they expect to see someone else in there, but no one's there.
So spooky.
Sometimes they hear someone go into the stall next to them, but when they leave their stall, there's no one in the stall next to them.
I feel like public bathrooms are much scarier than single stall, don't you think?
Yeah. And I also will never forget what's the, dating back to the early days of the podcast, one of the Hanako-san, that bathroom game.
Yeah.
The third stall. I still, to this day, when I go into bathrooms, I avoid the third stall because of that game.
Yeah, that one's really scary.
Yeah. But his spirit is really not malevolent, nothing scary. He just seems to be coexisting and living in the Old Angel Inn. He is only angry if the Union Jack flag is removed and taken down.
So he's kind of easy to appease then.
Very, very. And I think he just wanted to be acknowledged in the beginning.
Yeah.
And that is the story of Captain Colin Swayze and the Old Angel Inn in Niagara-on-the-Lake, which you can visit today. And I think for $190 a night, you could potentially see a ghost.
Honestly, that's kind of a steal because prices for hotels and inns these days are brutal.
Yeah.
Next time we pass through.
Next time we miss our flight to Pittsburgh on tour and have to rent a car at 3 a.m. Actually, I was back at that exact airport and hotel after my cousin's wedding in Ontario, and I had crazy flashbacks. I was like, oh my gosh, this is where Corinne and I laid waiting for our bags to come off the plane. This is where it was 4 a.m. and we got like a snack from the vending machine.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a Snickers bar you went for.
I only ate Snickers and Diet Coke all the tour.
Yep.
Probably why I was struggling so much these days.
Anyway.
Or maybe I should feed him Diet Coke and Snickers. Maybe that's what he's after.
Craving it. Like, Corinne.
Stupid milk.
Blend that up.
Give me some creamy nougat.
Why is he like Irish?
Nougat. Give me the nougat. You know what, Sabrina? I'm glad you covered this because this kind of feels so different for you in a way because it was generally positive.
I know you're all worried about me.
I know. Are you okay?
I'm not okay.
What happened? Why did you do this? Well, we were coming off of just like demon.
Yes. And I've had this on my list for a really long time. And I was just curious.
Yeah.
Well, there is one. I was going to do something else, but then I'm going to do it closer to Christmas because the thing, I'll just say it. Rendlesham alien incident happens around, like it
Christmas
actually
time?
occurred around Christmas. So I was like, I'll wait till December.
Okay. Perfect.
And do it then.
I will warn everyone, the one that I'm doing for the Christmas episode is kind of depressing. But the thing happened on Christmas. So
Merry Christmas.
You can get abducted
tissues.
by aliens or have something bad happen.
Oh, God.
Happy holidays.
I just got really cold. I think I've been really cold.
It's also freezing because the office in my house has no foundation underneath. It was built on top of a rock. And we had someone come in and we spent some money to get them to like basically chisel one air vent into here so that it wouldn't be just the temperature of outside all the time.
I'll bundle up for the next episode.
Yeah, this is why I wear my sweater. It's sweater season.
I did just buy a bunch of sweaters on Amazon and I hope they're cute.
Amazon.
Yeah, I'm trying to save
You find
money.
good stuff on Amazon. Do you remember? You probably don't because I think it happens to you all the time. But I remember specifically when we were walking somewhere and you were wearing this one sweater and it had like striped
we were in
colors.
Austin.
Yeah, and someone was like, "Oh my God, I love your sweater. Where did you get it?" And you were like, "Amazon."
Yeah.
And I think about that moment all the time.
And I left it behind in the divorce.
She's
Nick's now rocking it.
a little crop top. Oh my God.
Anyway.
Well, now you get a whole new wardrobe, whole new vibes.
A whole new life.
And now you made the newspaper. So
And now I'm in the Marblehead newspaper.
You're doing great. That sweater didn't need you.
Maybe you shouldn't be worried that I'm doing happy stories. Maybe
this is your healing moment.
No, it's not.
So now for Kelsey and Tyler's story. So they originally sent all about the hotel that you just covered.
Should we see if they do it better? I'm just kidding.
They did say Niagara-on-the-Lake, Ontario, which you were saying is super haunted. This is Canada's most haunted town.
Ooh.
So that is interesting. But at the end, they write, now for a personal story / encounter from my recent stay in Niagara-on-the-Lake. My boyfriend and I have birthdays right beside each other, so every year we take the chance to go on a little birthday trip together.
Cute.
Last year, we decided to spend the weekend in the charming little town of Niagara-on-the-Lake, Canada.
Ooh.
This town is one of the oldest in Canada and served a large part in the War of 1812. I'm Canadian and my boyfriend is American and also a history nerd, so you can imagine the entire trip was spent listening to his tales on how the Americans beat the British and the battle and all of that.
Like,
and
okay.
they burnt Niagara-on-the-Lake to the ground. Anyways. We arrived fairly late the first evening and decided just to grab some dinner and walk around town. It couldn't have been much later than 10 p.m., but in a small town like this, we were the only humans out on the street and almost every house was dark. Oh, and did I mention the fog? It was late December, and this area is typically foggy, but as an Ontarian, I can say that I have never seen fog this dense.
Whoa.
We could hardly see a block ahead of us at times.
Spooky.
We knew that there was this old fort just outside of the downtown area and we wanted to check it out. So we meandered our way there, enjoying the unusually warm winter breeze and admiring the beautiful Victorian houses as we walked.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually, we spotted the gates to the fort and we went over to get a closer look. But as we stepped foot on the grounds, we both froze and got the feeling that we should not be there. From the entrance, we could not see the fort through the fog. We could only hear the crash of the waves from the lake beyond the ground. We decided to come back in the morning while it was light out, and so we turned back to explore some more streets before heading in for the night. We turned a corner heading towards the river and discovered a dimly lit street, a forest lining one side of the road. Still creeped out, we moved to the middle of the road where most of the light was. We both had this eerie feeling on the street and elected to get off of it as soon as possible. We quickly turned the corner, feeling relieved to be on the way back to the hotel when we heard a twig snap. It probably is just a stray cat or something, I told my boyfriend. A few more steps and then another snap. I looked towards the forest where the noise was coming from, and I could just make out the outline of a very old tombstone. I quickly realized it was not one tombstone, but an entire fucking graveyard in the darkness to our right.
Oh,
it's a
like
fucking graveyard.
Where it was the forest was actually an entire graveyard. Yeah. I actually like that more than like a random forest in the middle of the town.
How high are these tombstones too?
I don't know.
Maybe. It's a fucking graveyard, I say to my boyfriend, and I grab his arm, urging him to walk faster, both trying to keep our eyes ahead of us and not in the direction of what was surely ghosts snapping twigs to get our attention. When we hear a woman's robotic, hello? Thinking it was his phone, I go, why the hell did your phone just do that? No longer calm. And he tells me it was not his phone, but the doorbell of the house that we just passed. At this point, we are almost jogging trying to get off the street. We finally make it to the corner, and guess what surrounds both sides of the road? More freaking graveyards. We make it back to the hotel without any more ghostly encounters and somehow decide that it's still a good idea to go on a ghost walk that we had booked for the following night. Turns out, during the day, this town isn't quite so creepy, and the ghost tour was far too theatrical to scare us. But we did the tour, and we found out that the graveyard is the final resting place for many of the soldiers who had died during the war, and it also served as a temporary field infirmary where many of the amputations took place on top of the headstones of the previously dead. Oh. So you'd just like slap someone onto another person's grave and be like, I'm going to try to save you.
I guess.
If not, I guess
gotta
you just
do it.
We'll drop you right in.
You gotta amputate where you can. That's the rule. That's what they teach you in medical school. You gotta
amputate where you can.
First thing my grandmother ever taught me. You gotta amputate wherever you can.
She's always said that.
She has always said that. Yeah. I'm gonna pass that on.
Get it tattooed across your chest. The guide also said to us as we turned onto the more spooky street that, quote, if you feel a little creeped out on this block, it may be because over 150 hangings took place at the old courthouse that was once located on this street.
Oh, shit. And this is the street that they had walked on the night before.
And we're like hustling because they were creeped out. We're
it's
still
nice
not sure.
to get that validation.
Right. Yeah. The tour might not have been creepy, but at least they
put it all together. Yeah.
We're still not sure if it was a ghost who had spoken to us through that doorbell, but we are sure that this town is definitely haunted.
Yeah.
Despite that we didn't have any more creepy experiences, we did have a really great trip. Thank you for reading. I hope you could find some entertainment through our story. Sincerely, Kelsey and Tyler.
Thank you, Kelsey and Tyler. This town reminds me so much of St. Augustine. Like even because where we stayed at that hotel, when you walked into like the main strip of St. Augustine, there was that really old cemetery with the moss, like Spanish moss covered trees.
Yes.
And the fort.
I see so much of that in Savannah.
I know.
So beautiful.
I'll send you pictures. Okay. You'll be there in spirit.
Yeah.
Start astral projection.
I thought I was just
Listen, this might be our sign to sign off.
Yeah. Anyway,
if you have ghost stories, please email them to us at twogirlsoneghostpodcast@gmail.com. I feel like I just shifted voices like, anyways, and then I like totally became professional.
Because we're so pro.
Thank you so much to all of you who listen. Thank you to our editor, Jamie Ryan, who makes us not so dumb.
And also has to remove a lot of interesting anecdotes that we tell and then say, actually, wait, can you erase that?
There is a fecal matter one that has been removed from this episode.
Guess whose story it is? You'll never know. But everyone knows.
Yeah, no.
If you've listened to more than 2 episodes.
Yeah. If you want to hear more fecal stories, join us on Patreon.
I thought you were going to be like, follow me on Instagram.
Join my OnlyFans. No,
Patreon's cool. We release all of our episodes ad-free 1 week early. We also have bonus content, which is full-length episodes that we post only there. Yeah. And we do book clubs. We do weekly campfire stories live there. It's only $5 a month.
Yep.
Get a holiday card if you join shortly.
We love you all so very much.
And we will see you
on the other side.